Industries, Swordfish Trombones. Tom Waits, his first release on Island Records. I'm Chris Douridas. You're listening to Morning Becomes Eclectic on KCRW, and joining us is Tom Waits. It's really great to meet you, finally.
Hey, good to meet you, Chris.
Swordfish Trombones, it marked a new direction in your work. It seemed to. It was almost like you suddenly took the bull by the horns and you began producing the projects yourself, and it seemed as though you'd kind of begun a whole new adventure that we're still hearing chapters from now, even with the new work, Bone Machine.
Oh yeah, well I like songs with adventure in them. I think that's what everybody's looking for, songs with adventure and, you know, acts of depravity and eroticism and, you know, shipwrecks, murder. I don't know. That was for me, it was, I think up until that point I had been, I don't think I was done yet. As far as, I think at that point I tried to make songs that felt a little more handmade. Experiments and expeditions into a world of sound and stories. So, I mean, particularly with percussion, I was more interested in percussion and in these kind of Bermuda triangles of percussion that you find, and sometimes you would drop off the edge of the world in them.
Did that new need that you were having, did that warrant the label change, or
actually, no, the album was made for EA, and Joe Smith heard it. He didn't know what to do with it. He looked at me like I was nuts. First he said, "Oh, produce your own record. Go out and make your own record, and you know, you should be producing your own records." And I said, "Okay, good." He says, "Make," and I made about 3 or 4 things and brought him in. And he heard them, and he said, then made the whole record and played it for him and said, "I don't know if we can put this thing out or not." So Chris Blackwell heard it, and I left EA. Saw a loophole in my contract, and I snuck out. Chris Blackwell loved the album, said we'll put it out. So that's what happened, and he was very in tune with it. Blackwell has great ears. Because he liked what I did, so I guess that means he had great ears.
That also was the beginning of the appearance of Frank, who stuck with your work for a good while. Where did Frank come from? Where's he from?
Oh, gee, I don't know. It's like a ventriloquist act. I don't know. Frank's Wild Years. It was just a little story about a guy who, you know, from a small town who went away to try and make something out of himself. I don't know where it came from. It's just Frank's Wild Years, the little story that was on Swordfish Trombones, was just a oddball short story.
Obviously, he kept you a little interested because it kept getting tinkered with and expanded and turned into a stage show that you had taken on tour. And
a good butcher uses every part of the cow.
I don't know if it's just coincidental, but after Frank started lurking around, you began to get involved with film work. The acting side of your life started to grow and expand, and I guess that came first through your contacts with Francis Ford Coppola.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. I've done a couple films before I worked with Francis. My first project with Francis was One from the Heart. I was living in New York, and he wanted to do a lounge operetta. That's what he called it. It was kind of a step backwards for me a little bit, as I had already tried to break out of my kind of mortuary piano and and cocktail hairdos in the songs. I was really trying to shut the door on that whole obsession with these with liquor and
Yeah.
my own perverted enjoyment of all that. And so he wanted cocktail songs. And so I came back to LA from New York and started writing in an office. I'd never really written in an office before with wood paneling and all that. It was good. It was a very satisfying to work with him, and since we've done other things together, and you meet people along the way, you have a rapport with. That's really great.
What of the acting work so far? What are you most happy with?
I like Ironweed. I had a part in also in this Robert Altman film I liked very much, which is not out yet, where I played Earl Piggins, limo driver who drinks, and I was married to Lily Tomlin. I don't know when it'll be out, but it was a great project to be a part of, and Altman was great to work with. And he's like a good sheriff in a bad town. I was in Dracula. That's coming out pretty soon. Really great time doing that.
Now you're playing Renfield in Dracula, which is an incredible opportunity, I would think, to just really let it
just go crazy. Yeah, right. It's, well, you see, a lot of people think that I ate these insects, and I wanted to really set the record straight on that, because I didn't actually eat the insects, because I put them in my mouth like I gave them a carnival ride, like a fun house. I put them in the fun house, and I let them move around in my mouth, and then I brought them back out again. I didn't actually murder them with my teeth.
Eating them is too easy.
Yeah. But I had a good time. I had some frightening moments where I was both frightened and exhilarated, being hosed down in an insane asylum and dressed like a moth. I also had to wear these hand restraints that were really painful. They were designed. They were based on a design they had for piano players, actually, in Italy, to keep your hands straight. They were metal braces, and they corrected anything that your fingers may want to do that's un-piano-like. Wow. They were like, I don't know, it was like having a corset for your fingers. It kept them perfectly like this. And there was all metal, and then these caps that went over your fingers, and really painful to your cuticles and everything. But it looked really scary. That was the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, why would they have those on Renfield? I mean, because I guess it must just look very bizarre to begin with.
Yeah, it looks funny. Yeah.
Well, in the film, though, don't we see more of the history of Renfield than...
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know how much of Renfield we get to see.
So never before do you see Renfield before he got to the...
Yeah, there's a photograph of him, the hat and the suit before he started to lose it.
And he was I guess a businessman.
Yeah, solicitor for a real estate outfit.
Making house calls. It must be kind of strange for you. I mean, that when you work, on the music side of things, you're completely in control. You're producing it. Every inch of it is you. Mm-hmm. And when you're working in film, it's almost like you're back to the asylum years or something.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Yeah, film is difficult sometimes because they don't pay you to act. They pay you to wait, and you do a lot of waiting. So I don't know. Now, somebody told me, well, acting makes a woman more than a woman. It really makes a man less of a man. You know. I said, oh God, that's what's been bothering me. Thank you. You know, fussing around your hair and getting up at 6 in the morning and having to have all these people fussing around you.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But I like it when I can actually leave the ground. It's rare in a film. It's more common in a play where you can actually experience flight.
Yeah.
Film is so broken up as a mosaic. But working with good people, it's always enriching and always satisfying. So, but some films, are like you bought the last ticket on a death ship, and you'll never come home.
Do you ever think that you might take more of an in control role in film work? Maybe do some directing.
Gee, I don't know. You got to know a lot. You got to know a lot about a lot of things to do that. I'm not. I wouldn't want to be a, what do you call it? So I don't know. It's a lot to do. There's paraventricular prosthetic titanium adapters and thermal decapitators, bioflesh regenerators, that type of thing. You have to know a lot, and I'm not really at that point in my career. It's like you got to be like Tesla.
KCRW. I'm Chris Douridas, and we have with us Tom Waits. It's music from the new release Bone Machine, Going Out West. It's actually the first single, which has an accompanying video, which is a knockout. What first strikes you about this new release, or struck me, was the heavy percussive feel and the raw and gritty textures that are so much a part of it, and a lot of violence.
Yeah. Well, always good material for songs.
Really?
It's,
it seems there's more of a that it's almost like more of a home-based project for you too, more closer to home.
It was all done in a little room. That studio was it was not a room that was designed to be used as recording studio. So I think that's what helped us. Just a room that sounded great. Cement floor, wasn't soundproofed. Broken window. It's great. It was just a room, a storage room.
Now this is a shed on your property?
No, it was at the studio. They had other rooms. We worked for a couple of days in the real studio, and I was really upset. I was really depressed. I said, "This room sounds awful," and I said, "No music will ever grow in this room." I was furious. I was down. But so I went around looking around the place, and I said, "What about this room over here? But this room sounds good." And everybody laughed. I said, "No, really. I mean, what's wrong with this room here? Feels better. Hot water here, a door, a window, a table, a chair, some maps on the wall. Get all these crates out of here, and let's do it right here. Just run the wires down the hill." It was rainy season. Everybody said, "Oh, sure." And they did, and we got in there, and everything started to come together. So it was good. It was good. The project had a flat tire on the first day, I think, because out of that we invented a new place for it to happen. It was good.